Now, this video is all about bass lures. Now, this is a video I've been meaning to do for quite a while. Get quite a lot of questions about different lures for bass, which ones do you use, which ones work, which ones aren't so good. I thought I'd just do a little video. This is purely just my own personal opinion. Bass lures, there are a wide range and variety of them. To try and pick 5 of them, these basically are 5 lures that I'm never without in my lure box. They cover all different marks, all different types of ground. Some are good in daytime, some for nighttime fishing, and yeah, they're go-to lures that I always keep, I always have. I could have easily picked 20 bass lures, which I use on a regular basis, which are successful. Now, there's loads of videos on YouTube about different types of lures. They're all good. Everybody's got different colours they prefer and have more confidence in certain lures. It all just really boils down to where you're fishing, how you're fishing, and what you feel comfortable with. But yeah, these are 5 bass lures that I am never without. So these are in no particular order whatsoever, but the first one I'm going to start with is a soft plastic lure, and it is the Sidewinder weedless minnow. Now this lure is 30 grams, I think it's 4 inches long. It's weedless, as you can see here, and it's a fantastic lure. Now these come in packs of 2, which look like that. And they're 6, depending on where you get them, they're £6 or £7 for a pack of 2 there. So firstly, a lure doesn't have to cost £20 to catch fish. Some of the more expensive lures are brilliant, and they do work better because the way they're weighted, they cast better, they swim better. There is a reason why they are more money. However, especially when it comes to some soft plastics, these are cheap lures. Now, I always have a packet of these in my lure box. I usually have the all white with the red dot here, like a bloodhead. But at the moment, I can't find them anywhere. I have these are just as good. I have more confidence in the white ones. They're really good in a surf and a big swell. They stand out and the bass hit them. And the thing I love about these lures is, whenever I go to a certain mark, there's 2 or 3 marks I fish over here, which are, one of them's a completely sandy beach. It's, yeah, completely sandy, big open bay, and it ranges from about 6 foot deep, probably to about 10 feet deep. Now, this lure at 30 grams, I can bang this out as far as I can get it, and I can get it right into the swell. And yeah, so the fact that it's weedless is kind of irrelevant. That's not the reason why I use it. I mean, these would be good on a boat if you're fishing quite deep and you need a lure to sink down and you're fishing through like kelp and stuff like that, for pollock, for wrasse, for bass, whatever. But yeah, the reason I use them is purely for the distance. They cast really well, and yeah, they swim great. You can feel the paddle tail working. Yeah, they're just a really good lure. So here is one bass I had on the Sidewinder minnow. There's the lure there. This was one of the open bays with deeper water, and that lure proved handy that day. Now also they can be effective at night. Here's one from earlier in the year. So worth a go in darkness too. So I've actually had some really good fish on these. And I don't just use them in the daytime, I also use them on night sessions as well. More so the pure white one rather than this one. But yeah, they're fantastic lures. And like I said, you know, they're cheap. You don't need to go and spend loads and loads of money. So if you do end up losing them, or, you know, they rust out over time, they're not expensive to replace. So at number 1, that is the Sidewinder weedless minnow. Now, on to the second lure of choice, which I'm never without, which is the mighty Ima Suzuki. Now this is a Suzuki 140, so 140 millimeters long. I think they weigh 21 gram. These are fantastic lures. Now at the moment I have this one, which is in a sort of cotton candy joker colour, and I have the borer mullet, which this one is a bit battered at the moment. Yeah, I've had plenty of these lures. I always keep one, at least one. I know many anglers who have 10, 15 just of these lures. They're brilliant. They're really, really good. They cast amazing. They're brilliant. They're one of the few lures I find, along with also the Ima Kimono, which is this one, which this is also in the same colorway, but it's a completely different lure. The Kimono, you can see, if I can just get these up, with the lip on them. The Kimono is much shallower, therefore or much flatter, sorry, therefore it swims a lot shallower. This is almost like a subsurface lure. This will swim 2 inches below the surface of the water. The Suzuki will do the same thing if you raise the rod tip a little bit, but if you have the rod tip facing down, it'll swim to about, I don't know, I mean 50 centimeters to a meter. But fantastic lures. One of the few lures that I find you can work really slowly. Now this is really effective at night. A lot of hard lures, once you start slowing your retrieve down, they lose their action. The Ima Suzuki and the Kimono do not do that. In fact, they work better, in my opinion, on a slower retrieve. I don't know if that's common knowledge. I'm not sure. It might. Maybe everybody knows that already, but that's what I found with them. So yeah, fantastic lure. Never ever without one of these. People catch on them all the time. Yeah, there's a few bass I've had on them lately. I haven't actually caught on this one yet. The Kimono in that colour. This is the 125, the SF 125. This is about a year ago, I lost it and haven't been able to find another. I had the SF 140 in the exact same colour, which I actually caught my PB bass on. And that was just as the light was fading one evening. So yeah, really brilliant lures. There are many other shallow diving lures out there, but this is the one which I would always go to first. Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got the duos, you've got the mega bass. There's plenty of them. Just my personal opinion, the Ima Suzuki, fantastic lure. Now this is one hard lure which I will always take out on a night session with me. So here I am clipping it on. This is on a recent early morning session, and we got a little bass coming up which was caught using a very slow retrieve in darkness. So up next we have the ever reliable Sidewinder Skerry. Now these lures come in a variety of colours. That's the Candy King there, and as you can see, not only can they be used on the shore but also on the boat. This is from earlier in the year during the summer. That's Liam with a nice bass on the Candy King, shortly followed by another one on the trusty lure. Took a bit of a battering that day, as you can see, but these are fantastic lures. Just dropped 5, 6, 7 feet under the water. There's me getting a little one. That was on the black tide eel. Now, the reason for me putting Sidewinder Skerry in there is because it is a brilliant, very, very simple, but fantastic fishing lure. This is the black tide eel. Skerries are all the same. This is the Candy King. They're all the same profile, same shape, same weight. They just come in a variety of colours. The sand eel, the green sand eel colour, is probably my favourite, along with this one. I don't actually have one of the green ones at the moment. They also do a pearl, which is very similar to this. But basically, the Skerries are for, well, anything really. Boat fishing, shore fishing, they are brilliant. There's a few bass we had on a boat trip earlier this year. We caught on a few of these. I particularly like this colour, the black-tied eel, and there is also the glitter bomb, which I've got some of those but not with me to hand. I particularly like these at night time. I know a lot of people prefer white lures at night, and I use white lures at night. But what I have found is two of the best bass I have this year came on, one of them came on the black-tied eel and the other one came on the glitter bomb, and they were both whilst I was fishing on a full moon on really still evenings. So I think just the black profile, more of a silhouette, more of a shadow in the water, maybe more visible, I don't know. But yeah, that's just my own personal opinion. Fantastic lures. You can use them straight off the shore. You can use them over shallow rough ground if you just hold the rod tip high. You can use them in deeper water, obviously on the boat like I said. Yeah, just an all-round brilliant lure. They last quite well, so you can catch a fair few fish on them before they start to sort of peel away and break. Again, they're cheap, £7, £8, £9. You get 3 in a pack, so if you do end up losing one or one gets broken, you've got 2 more left. So they last longer. Yeah, fantastic lure. So at number 3, that is the Sidewinder Skerry. Now at number 4, this was one of the harder ones for me actually to put in, purely for one reason. I've only really been using weedless lures very, very recently. I've tried them in the past. Certain ones I've used just haven't really got along with. I find a lot of them don't have a lot of weight in them whatsoever. They don't sink even an inch or two. Just my personal opinion, I wasn't getting along with them. That was until 2 lures came about, and I put one of them in here, which is in the photo of the video, but I'm going to include another one as well. Now, one of them is the Savage Gear Gravity Stick. When these came about, I was pretty excited about them, and it is because most weedless lures are like stick baits, and they released these. They did one like that. I can't remember the name of it. There was a pulse tail, one of them was called, and something else, and then they did the paddle tail. So as soon as I saw the paddle tail, I thought that is definitely a lure I could use for a few of the spots I fish over here. Obviously it moves about, swims, vibrates in the water. I went for these colours because it's sort of a sand eel looking colour with the glitter in it. Really, you know, attractive looking lure. The action on them is great. I've only used them a couple of times so far. I've caught a couple of bass on them, and yeah, I can't fault them. Really good for fishing sort of straight off the shore in the evening. Haven't used them too much in the day yet because as soon as I saw them I thought it would be a good nighttime lure. They do variety of colours. I've also got some in white. But yeah, so even though I don't have the most experience with these type of lures, these are going into the top 5, because these 5 lures are also, they cover, there's a lure for every instance. So you've got one for shallow ground, you've got one if you want to swim a bit deeper, there's a surface lure, you've got weedless, so it's one to cover all bases really. Now another lure I'm going to include in the range of the weedless is the Evo Bass Lawrence 160. And again, I've only recently been using these. I've had a couple of bass on them. I haven't used them much whatsoever. I've only been out 2 or 3 times with them. The first time I went out, I caught, and the very first cast, very first time I threw this thing out, it caught a bass. These, in this profile, given that they're a little bit longer, this to me is what makes all the difference. I've cast this lure out, and in fact I went out yesterday and took this lure out, and I also had the Suzuki with me. This thing casts as far as the Suzuki. This is unweighted as well. So fantastic lures. They have a brilliant action. As soon as they hit the water, they go head first down. As I said, this is unweighted. You can put a belly weight on them and they'll sink quicker, but they basically go like that. So you can bounce them off the bottom. They just bounce off rocks. They go through weed. Absolutely fantastic lure. So yeah, that covers a lot of tricky ground that can be quite tricky to fish sometimes. This will be a fantastic lure to use. So this is a little bit of recent footage from a night session not too long ago. This is the Savage Gear gravity stick, the paddle tail, and on this occasion I had a weighted lure on it, belly weighted lure, which weighed 7 grams, making the lure all in all a total of 22 grams. And yeah, very effective at night. We have the Lawrence, Evo Bass Lawrence, brilliant casting lure. Really excited about these, and managed to get a couple of little bass on the first time of using them. Now, number 5, and this is the almighty Pachinko 125. So as you can see here, nice summer's day, and the first lure going out is that Pachinko 125. Fantastic lures, just worked across the surface. You can speed it up, slow it down, put some twitches and pauses in there. They really are fantastic lures. That's the bigger version, the Pachinko 140. They really do catch some cracking fish. That's one from this summer, just under £5. Brilliant surface lures. Now I know sometimes bass anglers get asked, if you could only have one lure, which would it be? It's kind of an impossible question to ask, because really you'd want a lure that kind of covers all situations. Now, as much as this lure won't cover all situations, this is personally my favourite bass lure of all time, the Pachinko 125. Now there is the 140, which is obviously a little bit bigger. There's the 100, I think there's a 90 or an 80, and I think there's even one bigger than the 140, I'm not too sure. But the 125 is my favourite surface lure. That is the first surface lure that I will get out of my box on a summer's day or even on a flat winter's day. The action on them is brilliant. There are plenty of surface lures out there. I have many and I use them all. However, the Pachinko is my favourite. The way it's weighted, it casts really, really well. The action in the water, you can work it fast, you can work it slowly, you can just do whatever you want with it. It kind of works on its own. Yeah, a brilliant lure. I've had some great fishing on it. People do say that the 125, which I do agree with, it can get lost in a bit of chop. It can be, especially because they cast so far, when you cast it out, it can be quite difficult to see if there's a bit of chop in the water. So in that case, you stick the 140 on, makes a bit more of a splash, more visible for you to see. But yeah, an absolutely brilliant lure. And I actually carry this in my box all year long. I mean, I know a lot of the bass anglers in the UK, some of you can't fish over winter months, it dies off. Here in Guernsey, we get bass all year round. There are certain months when there's less about, but yeah, we lure fish for bass all year round. So that stays in my box all year round. I haven't had a bass off the top in probably about 6 weeks, 4 or 6 weeks. I'm aiming to try and get one in December because I've never caught one off the top in December before. The latest I've ever had one, or I don't know if it's ast or earliest, is in February. So I had one off the top in February earlier this year, and that was on a really blistery cold day. But where I was, the sea was flat calm. It's only a little small bass, but yeah, so I don't know whether you class that as early or late. I know of someone who uses this all winter long and catches on it. So, you know, don't ever think that surface lures are only for summertime. If the conditions are right, throw it out there and have a go. But yeah, me personally, that is my favourite lure of all time. So that definitely goes into the top 5. So there we go. That is my top 5 lures that I will carry with me at all times. You have the weedless minnow, Sidewinder weedless minnow, the Ima Suzuki, also Sidewinder, the Scary. You have weedless lures such as the Savage Gear Gravity Stick and the Evo Bass Lawrence 160, and also a surface lure, the Pachinko 125. Now, these are 5 lures that will cover all scenarios basically. That was the reason for picking them. If I could only have 5 lures in my box, these would be the 5 I would go to. Now, please feel free to leave in the comments the 5 lures that you would choose. I know many people have different opinions about it. Those are the 5 that I've gone for, but I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. So please feel free to put it in the comments or send me a message or even share your own. But yeah, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be taking these lures out and putting them to the test over the coming weeks. So until then, I will see you again.